This conference will now be recorded.
All right, happy Monday, by the way. Today is October 22nd. So we only have pretty much, give or take, about 7 days of trading left in October. A few things going on this week. One thing, we have our Traders Exchange that we have a whole bunch to do on. I know I have a whole bunch of questions as well as a topic that I specifically want to go over. I know last week I was not feeling really up to pretty much doing anything, but over the weekend I have gotten back to pretty much almost completely normal, which feels really good. Biggest problem is that the pre-market does not feel as good as I do this morning, which is kind of unfortunate, but at the same time we're going to find a bunch of stuff to look at. So first thing on my list is CLGN. All right, so coming into 7 o'clock this morning, and you can't really see as well right here, but we had some decent volume that came into it. And I say decent because when I have such a cheap stock, and when, a cheap stock to me, anything under $10 is a very cheap stock. But coming up to that 10 level, we did have a little bit of buying. And now we could see there's only one bigger print that came back in, but there were a few smaller prints that came in bursts as we were pushing back up to that number. So the one thing that I do like is that we're still continuing to hold up here, and I do like the prints that we had at that 9 level. You can see we have 2,100 shares total that came in, but we have two bigger prints that happened there. And if you look over here at the orders, it's just very, very thin. So just because it's two prints at that at that major level, it still has a lot of weight that's put towards it because of the fact that the orders are so small. So do I really love it? Is it a 10 out of 10? Something that I'm really, I know definitively? No, not really, because you know what? We've seen a lot of these stocks, especially come up on these cheaper, on this cheaper volume, end up just kind of dying out. But at the same time, it does have some decent variables coming into it. One of the better things that we do have out there. Next thing looking at is Hasbro. So Hasbro, what, we're coming into Christmas time, and we all know that a lot of these, these retail type stocks, we're going to start to see, some pretty decent moves coming back in. We'll see more after, basically right after Christmas. A lot more movement within them is when they come out with their earnings and stuff like that. But we can see it took a little bit of a hit. And this morning coming in, we do have some decent print at that 91 level. So unfortunately, it's not, once again, it's just not great. We're not getting any, show of hand that says, okay, this is what's going to happen. The second the market opens, I'm going to wait for this, and this is what I'm going to do. But it does have some decent new selling that came in at a lower point. Now, coming down towards that 90 level, we didn't really get much. But it's just based off the volume. I mean, it's got 157,000 shares total, but if you look at the actual volume that's came in, pretty much at any point during this morning, just not really enough there. And that's really what I look for, especially coming into these pre-market meetings, is something that just definitively shows this is what has to happen. And we don't really have that yet, but we do have some decent selling that came in. So we're going to, we're going to use that variable, and we're going to add it to anything that we see that comes into it afterwards. All right. So other than that, I have one other sideless stock, and that is TOPS, TOPS. So we can see it's pretty much dying out right now. We have some pretty decent, volume. That's pretty much that's it. It has decent volume. But if it lets me go all the way back, we had some really good buying coming back at that 2 level. And we had, that's, unfortunately, that's pretty much it. Coming up to that 4, you could see a lot of above the ask prints, those Laker colors, a lot of below the bid, just kind of very, very mixed. Doesn't really give us too much information whatsoever on what we're going to be expecting this to do. As we came back to that 4, like I said, it's just not really enough there. This entire movement was pretty much on absolutely nothing. And then we kind of got that sell off. So I'm going to keep an eye on it. It's on our side list because of the fact that there's really nothing that whatsoever that says that the stock has to continue to go back up. Basically, what it's just showing is that, with that increased volume, there's a chance, and that's it. There's nothing definitive once again, and that's pretty much what we've been seeing this entire pre-market. So let's take a look at our scanners. Let's see what we got going on here. So we have JTPY, which looks like a buyout. Absolutely nothing for us to do there. CLGN we've already spoken about. We have SLS, 930,000 shares, which is great. But if you look at it, there's just, I don't see opportunity. I don't see enough here to really show us that this thing is going to be able to break out. It's another one that I am going to put on our side list because I do want to keep an eye on it, but it's a little bit too quanty during the pre-market, and I don't see enough here at that 2 level. It's a little bit too mixed, even though we do have some pretty decent prints. It's just not enough for such a cheap stock, for what I look for, especially in these cheaper ones. So you know what, we're gonna put it on our side list, but once again, nothing definitive here. AYTU, absolutely nothing going on there. We have NDRA, 166,000 shares, but complete. Just in consolidation, just once again, just nothing really showing us anything of what has to happen. DVAX, absolutely nothing going on there either. DCIX, just in a downtrend, it jumped up on pretty much nothing, so nothing going on there either. We have IGC, which it's up a little bit, but once again, just nothing there. There's no real trading that's going on. So it looks like a lot of what we're going to be doing this morning is we're going to be kind of focusing on finding that show of hand once we get closer to the open of the market. YNDX, it's up a little bit, but once again, you can see, if we go and zoom in and we look at the volume, there's just nothing coming into it that shows us exactly what has to happen. Yeah, do we have some decent prints at 29.50? Yeah, we did. But at the same time, just not really too much going on there. Now, we know that this thing has had a bigger range, so I am going to put it on our list because of those prints, but it's on the bottom of my list. I'm going to be focusing more on looking at some of our everyday stocks that, unfortunately still aren't really showing us much either. But, it's something to look at. It's just there's nothing, once again, just nothing there that I can give you, okay, this is going to happen, then this is going to happen. Absolutely nothing. NVIV, PDD, absolutely nothing. And then Momo, which I used to love this stock. This stock used to trade great all the time. But, you can see just stuck at that print line, just moving it completely across the board, just nothing. Moving over to the loser side of things, so we have a little bit of a smaller list if it wants to finish its scanner. All right, here we go. There's literally, you can see the volume. It's pretty disgusting. MRTX, nothing really going on there. We have NCTY, excuse me, falling down on really kind of on low shares. There's just, you can see there's just not a lot out there for us to really do anything with so far. Now, as we come into the open market, are we going to get our show of hands? Of course. Okay, that's what the chat room's for. But as of right now, during the pre-market, I'm just not seeing anything out there that I really care too much about. If we have time, can we touch on some of the ones we've talked about over the past 2 weeks? Where expect Cron, SQ, NIO, and others. All right, well, Cron right now, I don't really expect anything out of it because this morning, see, the thing is that there's nothing to focus on. So if it's not showing us any interest right this second, the statistical chances of it showing us interest once the market opens, just unfortunately not really anything there. If we come over to NIO is actually not that bad. There's nothing for us to focus on the second the market opens. But NIO has a ton of buying sitting at that 8 level. So until it starts trading correctly and starts, showing us a change in personality is really what I'm looking for. Until it gets out of this quantity crap type trading, I just don't expect much from it. Although overall, I'm still expecting it to go back up above that 8 level. SQ jumped up just like everything else a little bit, but you can see, look at the volume. It's absolutely pathetic. There's nothing really here to show us anything. And SQ, remember, we have a ton of sell prints that are lower, so I'm still expecting it to go a lot further towards that downside based off the sell prints that we had. Facebook, another one. Facebook, basically, if we look at the why TradeStation's being so slow. My computer's making this weird sound. It sounds like someone's caught in its fan. But if we look over at that, we have that 150 level. Okay, so our low the other day, 153.55 was on Friday. We have a ton of selling underneath this. I think a lot of what these stocks that kind of pulled up a little bit, especially over last week. And keep in mind, last week I was not really around much. Obviously being very sick, I did not see most of the stories, but even coming in on Friday, we saw, AMD, another one where there's just, most of our everyday stocks, it looks like they kind of gave a full sense of a push up, and overall, we still have a lot of selling that's underneath. So certainly, certainly shows that we still expect more room to the downside. There's just no question behind it. So, are we, when the morning of the market opens, are we going to see some buying that comes into it to show there's going to be another pull up? Of course. I mean, you look at a stock like this, Facebook's in a consolidation. So a lot of times we're going to see a huge amount of selling and then going up and then a little amount of buying and a huge amount of selling and a little amount of buying. And that's pretty much overall what we've been seeing coming into them. So I still think we have a drop that's pretty much that's sitting there waiting to happen in almost all of the stocks that we talk about on an everyday basis. All right, guys, anything else out there that I missed? All right, I think that does it. Okay, perfect. So let's get ready for the morning. We have a lot of work to do still because we don't really have that stock that showed us this is what's going to happen yet. So we're going to have to find that. And you know what? Once the market opens, we'll certainly, one will certainly pop up, or the closer we get to 9 o'clock. So I'll make sure I post out there when we do get what we need to see. Other than that, guys, remember Traders Exchange tomorrow at 12:30, and I will talk to everyone in the chat room. Happy trading.